I'm sure there's a crow talk on here. Can some crow people weigh in on this, please?
Crow scientist Dr. Swift here with my take on whether crows were stealing this woman's house key as a means of protecting her from intruders. The short answer is no. So the number of steps, the level of anthropological study that would be required for crows to be able to understand that process from start to finish is just asking a lot of a wild animal. Right? So one, you have to learn what a key is, that it's this object that's used to gain entry into a locked space. So you have to understand that component. Then you have to understand what a house is and why it's important to a person, right? Crows don't have houses. For part of the year, they'll have a nest, which is something that they use exclusively for eggs and nestlings, but they otherwise don't have a house. They also don't have like lots of precious stuff. And so the idea that you have like precious stuff that you keep locked away from other people. And then the last component is just the idea of intruders, right? That there's people who would like find your house key and then they would come and like break into your space. Individually, those are all components that crows have like a level of familiarity with, or that I think you could train in a captive situation. For example, I actually think it'd be pretty easy to train a captive crow that if you want access to this space, you have to bring me this thing that looks like a key and then I use it to get in there, right? Like that they could absolutely do. But putting all of those things together, and I say that acknowledging that crows are the best non-human animal at putting multiple steps together to solve a problem. Again, that's in captive situation. So asking them to do that on our behalf, right? Something that doesn't readily relate to their own life, but is something that they're tracking purely because they have that much time to dedicate to watching people, I just don't think is realistic. All that said, I think that what happened, we're totally on the same page about. Like, the crows absolutely did this. They were stealing your key. You have this bond with them. They are very interested in what you do. You feed them. And so they see you putting an object out every day, hiding it. And they're like, well, I want to see what that is. Maybe it's the best kind of food. And then they steal it and then it's not food and they're disappointed. I think the suggestion to put out the fake key to get your original one back was really interesting. I'm kind of surprised that that worked, but that's delightful. I will definitely put that in my holster of advice for future folks with these kinds of problems. So I don't want to say like, I am the end all be all and everything about crows. Like, I come from a knowledge base that I think is valuable, but I learned something in this story. So like I said, as like TikTok's crow scientist, my take is probably going to be different than some of the other folks on Crow Talk that you might encounter who come at it from more of a just like crow feeder experience. And that's okay, right? We come at these things from different perspectives. I hope this is helpful. And next time you don't have to spend the water on chat. You can just message me. Happy to answer.